Welcome to the Rock Interview Series with host Thomas S. Orwatt Jr.
Welcome to episode number 115 of the Rock Interview Series. I'm Thomas Orwatt Jr. It is January 31st, 2025, and for this feature, I have the follow-up interview with guitarist Dario Lorina of the new rock band Dark Chapel and also of Black Label Society. Please watch episode number 114 for the first part of this interview. During this episode, Dario dives deeper into the latest release by Dark Chapel. He shares his insights into the band's name origin, his evolution to frontman vocalist, and the songwriting process behind the 10 tracks on this recording. Dark Chapel's release, Spirit in the Glass, will be released on February 28th, 2025 on MNRK Heavy. So let's get started. Here he is, guitarist vocalist Dario Lorina. Hey everyone, welcome to the Rock Interview Series for another episode with Dario Lorina. Dario, of course, we know from Black Label Society, but as I said in part one of this interview, he has a great new project called Dark Chapel. New record, Spirit in the Glass, will be released in 4 weeks from today. And I'll tell you, it is really a great record. I mean, a very diverse record. A lot of different music, like textures in there, and just really all around a solid record. Dario, thank you for returning and letting me ask some follow-up questions. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, happy to be back. And yeah, it's awesome you've gotten to hear the whole record. I'm psyched for everybody else to hear it coming out February 28th.
Yeah, it's great. So what we did last time when we spoke, I really concentrated, on the singles that were released and just, the basics of how you put the band together. And we talked about your past history. Today I want to go into a little more detail on the release and, ask you some specific questions on the songs and that. But before we begin, I didn't ask you this last time, but I'm very interested in how you came up with the name Dark Chapel for the band.
Yeah, so when I was looking for a place in Vegas, I found this place, and you start looking at a handful of them, and the nickname for it became like the Dark Chapel. So that's what I was just calling. Then it became like what I was calling the studio, the Dark Chapel. And I have a big sign out here on the wall. It's like this big Dark Chapel and cool like Gothic letters. So when I was thinking of band names, that was like one of the ones on the list that I had. And yeah, it just became the Dark Chapel.
It's a really cool name. I'm kind of surprised that nobody else has used it before because it's such a great name.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I think it fits well.
Yeah. Now you mentioned in our first part of the interview that you've been working on this for a while. You said half the songs you wrote a few years ago, and then recently you wrote, the remaining tracks, and the two singles from the record that you put out, Hello Smile and Glass Hearts, were two of the songs that were recently written for the record. What was the first song that you wrote for this release?
Well, I can say some of the first few of them were Corpse Flower and Afterglow, and
Okay.
like Gravestone Humanity were like the first group of songs that I had. But I did have Dead Weight and Dark Waters. Like I've had Dark Waters for a long time. And the Dead Weight, maybe that came to be with those other groups of songs that I had written just at the beginning when I was looking at putting an album together.
At what point did you decide to take on the responsibilities of lead vocalist for this project? And had you ever done this before? I know that, you were with Janie Lane and you were also with Lizzie Borden, and you had a couple solo releases, instrumental solo releases. But were you ever the front lead singer of a band before?
Yeah, never the front lead singer. When I was playing with Janie, so that time I was like 16 and was playing with Janie, and I'm not sure if we were talking about this in part one, but he would say to me like, you got to learn to sing and you got to learn to play slide guitar, like joking around with me. So then I met at one of the shows out with Janie. I think we're in Florida. I met a vocal coach of his that he worked with when he was like a teenager or early on. And so this guy's like came to my room. It's like, I'm going to give you a vocal lesson. And he showed me like how to sing. And I was young at the time. I wasn't focused on singing. I was just all about playing guitar, And after that, I came home from the road, and he met with me like once a week on Skype for a while and was showing me like, how to play a piano scale and how to sing the scale and how to read the scale, like attaching it all together. And then he was having me like, play a song each week. Like I'd learn a song on the piano and so I could play and sing. And it was just kind of something that started to develop. And then I was writing songs, weekly, monthly. And then that was, I guess, around 19 or so. And then from there, I was just working on it and singing and demoing and writing. And I was singing when I did those instrumental albums, but I didn't have like like an album's worth of songs that I'd written where I was singing on. But I did have several. I did have a song called Man on the Moon, which I actually wrote prior to Janie passing, and then I performed it at his memorial that they had, which was at the Key Club, and that was like the first time that I sang like lead. I played piano and sang, so just throughout the years as I was working on singing, I did the instrumental albums, and then now this just feels like a continuation of like the same stuff I'd write instrumental wise, but just now singing on top of that.
Is it difficult to perform live playing guitar and singing? Were there any challenges for you in doing that?
Like after I was playing with Janie, I was playing with Lizzie Borden. So I was singing then, not lead, but I was doing a lot of harmony with Lizzie. And then of course doing a lot of harmony singing background in Black Label. And then like, doing any of like acoustic tours we did with Zach, singing harmony. So I was comfortable with singing and playing and singing and playing live. So it doesn't really feel too much different now just singing lead. I'm singing a few more words coming out into the mic than just backup. But yeah, no, it all feels smooth.
So the first time that you actually did that as a frontman was when you had the first Dark Chapel show, which was not that long ago, right?
Yeah, a couple weeks ago. Yeah, so yeah, I guess you could call that the first time.
Yeah, so I mean, was you like, you were of course confident that you could do it, but were you nervous because it was the first time that you were actually doing it in front of people?
I wasn't really nervous because it feels the same as to what I've always done as far as since I've been playing out and touring. I'm just, like I was saying, singing a few more words or a few more songs, so it doesn't really feel too much, too different.
Yeah, did you ask Zach Wild for any advice on doing that? Because he pretty much followed in like, the same footsteps where he was, primarily a lead guitarist and then took on the front lead guitarist and vocalist chores in Black Label Society.
Yeah, no, I didn't ask him too much about that in particular. It just kind of it feels like a natural thing.
Now, also, there's quite a bit of piano on the new record, and I see it like a keyboard behind you. When you were going for those lessons, those vocal lessons where you're playing the piano, was that the first time you actually started playing the piano? Was that 19 years old?
I don't know if that would be the first time I'd say I played it. There was always a piano in my house, like when I was a kid, so I would always play with it. I started playing guitar, and guitar was my main instrument that I was always on. But as I learned more about the guitar and more about theory, then I'm like trying to figure out, okay, I know this chord in the guitar, how can I play it on the piano? Then I would kind of play simple chord progressions here and there on the piano. That was just something I kind of self-taught myself how to do. And then when I was doing the vocal stuff and incorporating the piano, that helped a lot because I was tying a lot of things together. But when I sit down to write at the piano, I'm just being creative really in the chord progressions because you can layer in a little bit of a different way than what you're doing on the guitar. So I enjoy just that creative process of it. But I've never had like formal piano training. But on Dead Weight, I'm playing the piano. I recorded a beautiful baby grand here at a friend of the engineer's house here in Vegas, which was amazing. The end of We Are Remade is a piano like outro that I recorded on an old piano that I have that is really meaningful to me, but the tuning is always just slightly out enough to not really, stay pristinely in tune. So, but for certain things like the outro of that, it works awesome because it kind of has a creepy old haunted piano vibe. Yeah. And then, of Corpse Flower has some like organ stuff on there, which I did here. And yeah.
Well, yeah, it's funny you mentioned We Are Remade. I wanted to talk about that song. That part that you were referring to, that ending part of it, it almost to me sounded like almost like a music box, but it's actually an old piano, huh?
Yep, it's an old piano, and I just played that piece, and yeah, I'm trying to remember if we like during the mixing if we filtered a little bit to try to make it sound like it was like a like a music box or coming out of like an old record player sound. But yeah, no, that's live piano mic'd up.
Yeah, that was a very creative idea. How did you come up with actually, coming up with that idea?
Um, yeah, those ideas just when you hear something and then you're like, oh, let me just try it and see if it works. Because the song ends sharp, and I think I was hearing some like, well, let me see if I can come up with some kind of outro piece for it. So that was that.
It really caught my mind the first time I heard it, caught my ear, I should say, the first time I heard it. Back to Dead Weight. That's a really kind of profound song, like a piano song. I want to call it a ballad. Were you apprehensive at all for putting that on? I think a lot of the people that are going to be listening to Dark Chapel for the first time, want songs like, expect songs like Afterglow, faster songs like that, hard rock songs. But I love that you put, a couple of slower songs on there, and like I said before, it makes it a rather diverse record. Was that a plan of yours, or is it just you put the songs that you wrote, and those were just the songs that you wrote at the time?
Yeah, Dead Weight is one of my favorites on the album, and yeah, it's a really, it's a song full of emotion, and it's a personal song. And I mean, for me, when I'm writing, I'm just sitting down to write whatever vibe I'm feeling that day, and I love all different styles of music. So that's gonna, I've absorbed, and that's gonna come out in what I'm writing. But I really, that like singer-songwriter style, I love that. So yeah, I had no plan of like, oh, I just want it to stay in this one thing. These are the songs that I wrote, and this is where I'm at as far as writing and music wise. And I like that it's all on there because all that music that's on there is the music that I am enjoying. And I don't really look at Dead Weight. I mean, yeah, I guess we could use the word ballad, but I think of it more of like an Adele kind of thing, or like a John Legend, or I mean, I love Ray Charles, so I look at it more like that, and just like a singer-songwriter, piece of music.
Mhm. And also another impressive aspect of the recording is the lyrics. I mean, those are some great lyrics that you wrote. Tell me about the lyric writing process for you. Is it difficult to do it, or does it just like flow out of you, or tell us the process about lyric writing for you.
Yeah, I guess it's a little bit of both. At times you can hit roadblocks, and sometimes it comes right out. But I mean, I like to spend time with the lyrics, and I like to get creative with like a creative writing approach. Whether it's like a storytelling vibe, or if it's like a personal emotion that you're writing about, or a personal experience. But I'm still trying to get creative in that. So, I take a lot of just inspiration from either reading, like I like to read philosophy and psychology books. Not that I can understand what they're talking about, but sometimes it just makes your brain hurt enough to like think differently about a certain subject, and then that kind of triggers how to try to just come up with a creative way of talking about whatever you're writing about for the song, premise wise, lyric wise. So that's pretty much how I'm working with lyrics. And I do, like I was saying, I do like to spend time with them, and kind of get poetic with it. And I want, if you read it without listening to the music, I still like him to read in a poetic kind of way.
You must be really proud, for your first record, from this project to be so good. I mean, it's you hit a home run with it.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. And I definitely worked hard at it. And it was, just took a few years of just getting it all together in between touring and finishing the writing and being happy with where I was at with the writing. And okay, these are the 10 songs. I'm feeling ready to roll with them. So, but I'm psyched and yeah, very proud of all the work done on the album, from just the writing and the band, everybody that played, and, the mixer and the engineers that put all the hard work in to make it sound like it does. I'm psyched about it.
Yeah. At any point, did you consider presenting any of these songs to Zach for a Black Label Society record?
Oh no. Yeah. I mean, Zach's Black Label is Zach Wrights. And yeah, I mean, I sent him these when they were all done. He knew I was working on Dark Chapel just so he could check them out. But yeah, these were, yeah, just written for Dark Chapel.
Yeah, well, very, very, very cool. And now you said that when you first started it, you had different people working with you originally when the band launched, and now you have a different lineup of musicians in the band, correct?
Yeah, just early on, like when the writing was first starting, I had different guys play, and that because I recorded half the album at that time several years ago. So that was friends of mine in Vegas, phenomenal musicians. And then as I was finishing it later on, I was able to complete the lineup in 2024. And those guys recorded the rest of the album. And then now the live lineup.
And were there like other record labels interested in signing Dark Chapel?
So the first one that I was in touch with was Monarch. So it worked out, and here we are. Yeah. Yeah, I'm psyched to be with Monarch. It's, same family, Black Label, and yeah, they're amazing.
And you're also, for our viewers watching, you're also doing a couple specials with this record. You're having autographed copies of the vinyl that's coming out. What else are you offering with this release?
Yeah, so there's going to be physical vinyls. There's a few variants of the vinyl, and those are like region specific. So Europe has a select few variants, and North America has a select few variants. But yeah, the first 200 vinyl pre-orders have like a signed poster of one of the graphics off the album that's in there. And that's like any variant, any region, just whatever the first 200 end up being. And then there's going to be physical CDs, and it's all going to be streaming on all the services. So yeah, that's what we have rolling so far.
Has there been any progress on tour update since last time we spoke last week?
Yeah, yeah. So we did those couple shows, which are our first shows, and then we have March 1st coming up, the album release show in Vegas at Vamped with Don Jameson. It's going to be awesome. And yeah, we're still working on getting it all together, but we'll definitely plan to be on the road.
Yeah. Do you think it might be, as early as this spring, or are we looking at summertime, or don't you know at this point?
We are looking at that, and we'll see how schedules end up working out. But yeah, that's what we're looking at the moment.
All right, awesome. I also wanted to talk to you about the wild audio guitars that you've been playing. Why? I mean, of course, you're in Black Label Society and the Zach Wild's signature guitar, but tell me about those guitars and why do you like playing wild audio guitars?
Yeah, so the guitars are, I mean, they're beautiful guitars, and Zach's designing those shapes. So they play great. I mean, he's designing them for how he likes to play, and they can't play any better. I love the way they feel, and they look awesome. So yeah, it's been all wild audio.
Yeah. What would you compare them to? To like a guitarist that hasn't played one of those? What is there any particular model that they're kind of similar to, or?
I'm not sure how to compare it to another guitar. They're uniquely their own thing, but they play amazing, and the EMGs in them gonna make them sound killer. So I dig them. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think I asked most of the questions that I wanted to ask this time around. I do want to end by asking you about experiences on stage, and if you can tell us what one of the craziest things you've ever experienced while playing on stage was. I mean, you did play on Lizzie Borden, so I'm sure that was a lot of craziness in that too. But tell us about it. I mean, you've had a pretty long career and played with some great bands. Tell us some road stories.
Oh man, yeah. Sometimes those are hard to think about because they get blurred in your memory, and then something triggers it. You're like, oh yeah, I remember that happened. But yeah, I mean, as far as like touring with Lizzie, that was a blast because of the stage, theatrics that were happening with Lizzie and the blood and the girls, and that was a lot of fun. As far as, I mean, playing with Janie, there's all kinds of things that are going on out there. I do remember having, like, first playing with Janie, I had these cowboy boots on, or whatever kind of boots that had like a slick bottom, and I was just walking across. I don't know if it was raining out or whatever, but I completely lost my footing. I don't know how I caught myself. But you catch yourself and keep going. But yeah, there's, stuff happens, but there's been a lot of good times out there.
How about like what would you say that the biggest audience that you guys played in front of, that you personally played in front of?
Probably have to say, like, I'm not sure which one is more, but like those European festivals are massive. And yeah, I mean, now the ones in the States that are rolling are awesome too, as far as crowd wise. But some of those festivals like Wacken and Hellfest and Grass Pup, we played a pretty big festival. Maybe this was the biggest, I'm not sure, but like there was a Woodstock festival in Poland, and that was massive. So any of those crowds would be at the tops of the list.
And when you play in front of that many people, how difficult is it for you to like to come down from the excitement after your performance?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely get that adrenaline rush. Yeah, I don't know. I never really thought about the come down afterwards, because it just, when you're doing it, it feels like a natural thing. You're up there and then you have your good time, and yeah, I don't really think of the come down. So yeah, you're usually up for a while afterwards though. So
Yeah. Yeah. Now you have 10 songs on this record. Did you write additional songs that didn't appear on this record and may appear on a future release?
yeah, definitely. Some that either weren't done all the way when I got to this, finalizing this at the end of the process with it. But yeah, I mean, I have a bunch of stuff ready to go for the second one, and things I'm still working on. I mean, I'm always writing and demoing, so. But yeah.
Well, Dario, I want to thank you again for your time, and who knows, maybe we'll see you next week as well. But
yeah, I'll see you next week and the weeks after that. But no,
right,
thanks again. I appreciate it.
no problem. And everyone watching, make sure that you mark down February 28th for the release of Spirit in the Glass. Buy it on vinyl, get one of the variants, get a signed poster. It's trust me, it's worth the money, because this is a great release. And man, like I said last week, I can't wait to see this band out live, because it's gonna like blow everyone's heads off. It's gonna be that good. I can't wait.
Awesome, man. Thank you again. And yeah, you can pre-order everything now. And then yeah, February 28th, it's all out. So awesome, man. Well, I appreciate it and thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, we'll see you. Take it easy. Keep rocking.
Take care, man. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.